You right. And it's a great question. Can we put our ass where our heart wants to be if we've got a family or a job or a mortgage? And the answer is yes. And you're right. The muse does not count hours, she counts commitment. It is possible to be 100% committed 10% of the time. The goddess understands. So I'm going to go a little bit further and then we can unpack this because the math here, y'all, really is important. 1 hour a day is 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month, 365 hours a year. 360 hours is 9 40-hour weeks. 9 40-hour weeks is a novel. It's 2 screenplays, maybe 3. In 10 years, that's 10 novels or 20 movie scripts. You can be a full-time writer 1 hour a day. That was a mic drop moment, Steve. And I love one of the things we've done and everything is figure out. What I try to do is always help people do the simple math because simple math can change our lives. But most of us don't do a lot of simple math. It's just not what we do. So talk to me about this notion. I know you've met so many creatives and writers over the years of just being able to carve out that little amount of time every day and the power of kind of compounding creative interest that can happen.
Yeah, the power of compounding is it's true. But like there's a famous story about James Patterson, the novelist, who has now sold like 3 billion books or something like that. He used to be the head of an ad agency, J. Walter Thompson. And what he would do was he would come in at like 5 or 6 in the morning, go into his office, lock the door, and for an hour and a half, he'd work on his fiction. And then when the working day started, he opened the door and he became, an ad man. And that's how he did it. And here's another really interesting thing on this, Marie. Like right now, I am a full-time writer. This is a true revelation, right? So you would think, oh, this guy's got 24 hours a day. This is probably true for you too, Marie, that if I actually boil it down to how much time I actually have in the day to really work on the blank page, it's maybe 2 hours.
Right.
It's no more than 3 hours. So I'm really sort of at the same place I was when I was working a 40-hour a week job. So because of other commitments and things like that you have to do. So we may look at somebody like Stephen King and think, oh, this guy's got the world by the string, but he only has a couple of hours a day to work. So that compounding interest, like I say, 1 hour a day equals this. Like we have a clip on, if you look this up on YouTube, look up Steven Soderbergh, the great director.
Yes.
When he won the best director Oscar for Traffic in 2000, he held up the Oscar, and he said, "This is for everybody who spends part of their day doing something creative, whether it's a book, a play, a movie." And he says, I couldn't live in a world without art. So God bless everybody that's out there doing that. And he's absolutely right that it really does. If you can you can be a full-time anything on an hour, 2 hours a day. Think about the gym. People who go to the gym as like super bodybuilders or whatever, they're not there 8 hours a day. They're there an hour or hour and a half at the most. And that's enough.
And there's at least one study that shows that working beyond 4 hours a day in terms of that kind of intense focus work where everything else doesn't exist and you are just pouring forth or creating or solving, it's like our brains aren't necessarily, at least mine isn't, it's not built to go further than that. Like I'm toast. I need to do other kinds of activities, handle other responsibilities, give my subconscious an opportunity to do some of the work on its own. So I just love this conversation because you're right. And the truth of the matter is, for me, there's some times where it's like, it's an hour or two. If I get in 2 hours a day of the really good stuff, man, I'm running around like a winner. Because the rest of the life needs handling and taking care of and the meetings or whatever. But I love the realization of that because it puts it in a zone of being achievable for the everyday person. Yeah. And they don't necessarily,
as you say.
That's right. And you don't necessarily have to not have your full-time job or your part-time job or all of your family commitments or your kids or your wife or your husband or all the things that we have as beautiful, complex, messy humans. And you can still carve this out.